Namespaces are a concept I never even heard about until I was working at Walt Disney Studios, and a fellow developer insisted I use them for a project I was assisting him with. I had no idea what he was talking about when he asked me to namespace my variables. What? So it turns out namespaces are one of the dumbest, most convoluted and pointless methodologies of coding I have ever seen. You know what they are? Namespaces are variables for variables. Now, I've taught you about variables in past videos. Variables are great. Variables are useful, but why on earth would you need a variable for a variable? Well, because when working on a large project with multiple people, it's possible another programmer might pick the same word. For example, if you have a website with multiple order forms and sign-up pages, those pages might use a variable called first name. And you need to make sure that those variables don't conflict later in the database. Now, people with brains can easily see you can avoid this problem of duplicates by inventing very explicit variable names. And maybe talking to your fellow developers, sign up first name and order first name, for example. But programming nerds came up with this moronic solution called a namespace, which is basically a block of code which encapsulates a variable assigned to the variable. Seriously? That's the best these dunces could come up with? Assigning a namespace involves about quadruple as many lines of code, making things far more complicated than it needs to be. All a smart person would do to alleviate the potential conflict is use better naming conventions. All computer science fools do to fix their code is write more code. That's like deliberately adding 10 miles onto your commute and calling it a shortcut. You have to be an idiot to think that way. Truly, namespaces are one of the most ignorant, illogical, senseless solutions to a problem any intelligent person could imagine. But we're not talking about intelligent people. We're talking about trendy computer nerds who want to be cool. When I tried to ask the fellow developer at Disney the reason why he was using namespaces, his answer was, "That's the standard." What? What on earth are you talking about? That's the standard? That's not an answer. The standard what? Who sets this standard for you? But, like a mindless robot, he was incapable of elaborating upon that statement. That's the standard, was all he could say. He had no capacity to think, no ability to rationalize, only regurgitate. Computer technology, most especially internet technology, by its very nature is about innovation, about exploration, about experimentation, about thinking outside the box and coming up with creative solutions to problems. Rebels, pirates, pioneers, the Wild West, the cutting edge, that is computer science. Computer technology is not about conformity and obedience, but to him it was. That's the standard. Beep. That's the standard. Beep. That's the standard. Beep. All a bunch of lemmings. Developers use namespaces just because some idiot college professor programmed them to think that way. Don't think like them. Think for yourself. By the time you see this, namespaces will undoubtedly be deemed unhip and replaced by some newer, even more idiotic workflow. And I understand those people are doing sophisticated programming. I understand they make twice as much money as I do. I understand they have a master's degree. I understand they possess skills which exceed my own. And I understand they're still not bright enough to impress me. Sophisticated doesn't automatically equal intelligent. After all, he was completely incapable of articulating any reasoning behind his programming. So, Are you going to make code that is useful or useless? Smart or ignorant? It's up to you, my students, but I think you will want to make code that is sensible. Because remember, kids, the world owes you nothing until you create things of value.